The Interlopers by Saki. On a winter night, in a forest on the eastern edge of the Carpathian Mountains, a man stood watching and listening. His name was Ulrich von Grodwitz, and he was waiting for an enemy. The forest belonged to Ulrich's family, but it had not always been theirs without question. 3 generations ago, the courts had taken a narrow strip of woodland from a neighboring family and given it to the Grodwitz family. The neighbors, the Znaim family, had never accepted the judgment. They said the land was rightfully theirs, and they continued to hunt on it whenever they could. The quarrel had grown into a bitter personal hatred between Ulrich von Grodwitz and Georg Znaim, the heads of the 2 families. Each man wished in his heart that some misfortune would fall upon the other. On this stormy night, Ulrich had gathered his foresters to watch for thieves and poachers. He knew, somehow, that Georg Znaim would be out in the disputed forest tonight. The wind was wild, and strange movements ran through the trees. Ulrich stepped away from his men, hoping to meet his enemy alone, face to face, man to man. And then, as he came around the trunk of a huge beech tree, his wish came true. There in front of him stood Georg Znaim. The 2 enemies stared at each other for a long, silent moment. Each man held a rifle. Each man had hate in his heart and murder in his mind. But it is not easy to shoot a man in cold blood when you have grown up with rules and laws. And while each one hesitated, nature acted first. A fierce blast of wind tore through the forest, and the great beech tree above them cracked and came crashing down. When Ulrich opened his eyes, he found himself lying on the ground, pinned under the heavy branches of the fallen tree. One arm was trapped beneath him, and the other was held down by the wood. His boots saved his legs from being crushed, but he could not move. Close beside him, so near that he could almost touch him, lay Georg Znaim, alive and struggling, but caught just as tightly under the same tree. At first the old hatred spoke. Georg laughed bitterly. "So you're not killed as you ought to be," he said. "Caught fast, haha, what a joke! Ulrich von Grodwitz trapped in his stolen forest." He promised that when his men arrived first, they would roll the tree on top of Ulrich. Ulrich answered with the same cold threat. His foresters were already in the woods, and they would come first, and Georg would die a poacher's death. The minutes passed slowly, and the wind grew colder. With great effort, Ulrich freed one arm and reached his wine flask. The warm wine cleared his mind, and he looked at the man lying in pain beside him. A strange change began in his heart. "Neighbor," he said at last, "if my men come first, you shall be the first to be helped, as if you were my guest. We have quarreled all our lives over this stupid strip of forest. Lying here tonight, I have been thinking, we have been rather fools. Let there be peace between us." Georg was silent for a long time. Then he answered slowly, "How the whole region would stare if we rode into the market square together as friends. No one living can remember a Znaim and a Grodwitz talking in friendship. What peace there would be among the forest lands if we ended our quarrel tonight. Ulrich von Grodwitz, if you will help me, I will be your friend." For a while, both men lay quietly, turning over in their minds the wonderful changes that this sudden friendship would bring. Then they agreed to join their voices and shout together for help, hoping their men would hear. After a while, Ulrich raised his head. "I can see figures coming through the wood," he said with joy. "They are following the way I came down the hillside." "Are they your men?" asked Georg. "How many?" "9 or 10, Ulrich answered, straining his eyes. "Then they are not mine," said Georg. "I had only 7 out with me." "They are running fast," said Ulrich. Then his voice changed and the joy died in it. "Who are they?" cried Georg quickly. Ulrich gave a low laugh, the broken laugh of a man unstrung with terrible fear. "Wolves."